Okay guys, this is gonna be quite a long video, so get yourselves comfortable. I'm gonna just run through. Sorry, this light's a bit. Is that not? Is that right? I'm just gonna run through. Basically, a beginner's guide to looksmaxxing. How to make yourself look as attractive as possible to maximise your chances with girls. And I'm going to go through everything, really, right from the very basics to very advanced, you know, where you really want to, where you're really going to end up if you take this shit seriously. But before I do any of that, we're just going to go over why it's important. Why it's important to pay attention to this kind of stuff. So, if you haven't already, I would grab a pen, a piece of paper, and give this your full attention. Watch it in segments. I'll timestamp it at some point, so you'll be able to jump to certain bits. Maybe there's some of the beginning stuff you might want to skip over. But if I were you, just watch it all the way through. Maybe you need to watch it a few times to really get what I'm saying. But this is really key, guys. This is really key. I think this is the best place to start for self-improvement. So anyway, let's start by just going over why it's important. Well, the first reason why it's important to pay attention to looksmaxxing as a guy is because you actually can make a massive difference with your life by looksmaxxing. So it's funny, I've lived both sides of the male life. I'm not, to some extent. I've been a guy who hasn't taken much care of his appearance, and I've been a guy who has. And I would choose being the guy who takes care of his appearance every time. You get miles more respect from guys. You're more attracted to women. And most importantly, you've just got a fantastic self-image. And the self-image is something I've got written down here to talk about. So most people don't really realise how bad their self-image is. And as someone who's had quite bad self-image most of their life until quite recently, you don't really realise how bad it is until you fix it. So, and you don't realise how bad everyone else's is as well. Sorry, I keep moving this light. I mean, I kind of sit on the bus now, and I'm just a guy who takes decent care of his appearance, and I just kind of think, I just sort of look around and I think, shit, the average guy just has no respect for himself, because he's not looking after himself. So yeah, it's like sleep. You don't realise how bad it is until you improve it. So there's that side to it, and I've mentioned women already, but I just want to emphasise here, no matter how successful you are, you will need to be presentable to girls. Show a basic level of hygiene, and dress well, and look fantastic. It's very easy to get sort of whipped up into a state of just thinking it's all about just grinding out, sort of making fuck tons of money, and then a girl will just be attracted to your kind of hard-working persona. They won't. You need to be attractive as well. And that's what I'm going to teach you here. So that's kind of the basics of how this is going to work. That's why you should do it, basically. Although I'm sure a lot of you kind of figured a lot of this stuff out for yourself. So, okay, we're going to go through, we're going to start with the real basics. some of these things might seem very obvious, but I'm just going to cover them anyway because I think often people forget about it. Actually, I'm just going to... Blue light late at night. Don't say I don't work for you guys. So yeah. The first thing I'm going to cover in looksmaxxing is hygiene. I know people are going to say to me, that's not really what I came here for. You know, I came here for submental exercises and you know, like how to improve facial attraction and stuff like that. We'll get to that, but you do not need to worry about that unless your hygiene's fantastic. So some of this stuff might sound obvious to you, but I'm just going to run through it. So you need to shower at least once a day. Again, that might sound obvious, but I just think a lot of people actually don't. And I was one of these people who kind of thought showering was like a waste of water for a long time. So I'd only shower if I like really needed to. And like, that's just such a stupid thing to do. So, because I just kind of meet people in jobs. Like I had a job for a while, and like it was a nightclub. So a lot of the people there weren't on this kind of self-improvement stuff. Let's just say that, and they would literally like sometimes you just walk past them and you can just smell them. I was like, you've never fucking washed. When was the last time you showered? You know, so sorry, it might sound a bit rude, but it's it's just such a turn off. Even, you know, as a guy, if a guy hasn't showered, so just do yourself a favour. You know, clean your arsehole as well. Like, I know it's disgusting, but just, you know, count to 3 and get out there. Get some face wash, or, you know, at very least, like, you know, people say don't do it, but just, it's better than just not cleaning your face. You know, just even a bit of soap or something like that. Last thing you want is oily skin, guys. So that's the thing. And you know, clean your hair. You're not meant to do it every day. The problem I got into is I wouldn't do it at all. So you got it's difficult to find a balance between that. I would say wash it every 2 days, but if it means stick to a routine, get it. Just do it once a day. But depends on what works for you. You know, there are downsides to doing that as well. Okay, so that's the basic hygiene. Then there's stuff like brushing teeth. Again, sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. Bad breath is just horrendously bad turn off. So you brush your teeth twice a day. You don't have to brush them for very long, you know, even if it's just, but you need to have some toothpaste in your mouth, really. You don't have to have the best dental hygiene in the world, but some toothpaste needs to go in your mouth from a toothbrush when you wake up and before you go to bed. It can be as simple as that. And if you're going out and you just had a meal, I think try and get in the habit of taking some gum with you. I've just got a little box of these. Just keep them on my desk. It's just nice anyway. But you know, you just had like a meal and you're going out with some friends. You wanna have a fresh mouth. And that's something to take pride in as well. And nails, obviously, just cut your nails, get a little nail clipper. Okay, so that's sort of basic hygiene. Now, these kind of things, obviously I'm talking to them about how I imagine it looks for a girl, like, from what people have told me and what I'm sort of feeling in for myself. But I think the other thing to remember is going back to the self-image thing. you do these things, you will feel better about yourself. You would take more pride in yourself as a person if you're clean, if you shower. And you might think you don't notice it, but again, going back to what I said before, you just don't realise how bad your self image is until you improve it. So, you know, if you do have bad hygiene, if you're listening to some of this stuff and you're actually going, oh shit, like, give it a try, and trust me, if you do everything on here, you'll feel like a different breed of human to what you felt like before. And this is really, obviously, like, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but this stuff is, yeah, if you're really starting from zero, this is just the heavy lifting. This is what's going to carry you. So this isn't so much hygiene, but I've included it in hygiene because it's about having a clean appearance. So, beards. Now, beards is a really difficult topic because, on the one hand, beards look fantastic, but the kind of work involved in maintaining a good beard is pretty long. So, chances are, if you're watching this video, it's not on your top priority at the moment. I think come back to it when you've got everything else in this list nailed down. And, you know, I really like beards. You know, I used to have a beard. I don't anymore. I might grow one back at some point. But it's something you want to get absolutely nailed down. It's really tough. It takes a lot of work to keep it perfect, and I'm sure it's worth the effort. But you want to... It's kind of something you do for its own sake, I think. You know, girls say they like beards, but I actually think more time, it's just kind of something that people, like, you know what I think beards are? This is just my theory, but I think beards are like the guys' version of, like, those sort of juicy sort of sweatpants that girls wear. Like, it's kind of, I don't really know what you call them, but kind of, I guess, sweatpants, like joggers, like the sort of that girls wear, and it's got juicy written on the sort of arse bit, and it's just like, no guy thinks that looks good, but the people who have branded that, it's so clever because it's kind of, it's one of those weird things that, like, girls think looks really good, but guys don't. I think beards are a bit like that some of the time, because, you know, but at the same time, it's kind of it's like fashionable and cool to say that you do like beards. So a lot of girls will say, like, oh yeah, beards make up for guys. I don't buy it myself. I don't buy it. I mean, I had a friend in first year who always said something. It was like, oh yeah, grow a beard, like beards. Beards are great for guys. Like, it's makeup for guys. Blah, blah, blah. She had a lot. You know, were any of her boyfriends? Did any of her boyfriends have beards? No, they didn't. So, you know, that's one thing to remember if you're on this kind of self-improvement thing. With some kind of aim to getting, you know, you want to get a girlfriend in the future or something like that. That's something to remember, actually, generally, is that girls will say one thing and do another. And sorry, I might just looks a bit sort of I'm aware it looks a bit sort of scary, and like there's sort of a monster going to appear in the back of my video. Yeah, sorry if this looks rather horror filmy. So yeah, but that's a whole other story for another time. So don't worry about beard. Just shave every day is what I do, and you can have fun with it. Like, that sounds so lame, like, have fun with shaving your beard. Like, why is this idiot on the internet telling me to have fun shaving my beard? But you can take a real pleasure with it. I mean, I have some nice shaving cream that smells really nice. You know, put a bit of aftershave on afterwards. I've got a nice razor blade. Don't. That's another thing. Don't use disposable razor blades. It's stupid. Just get like a proper nice razor blade. It'll cost a bit of money, but the thing is, if you want to improve yourself, it's going to cost you a lot of money, basically. I mean, on another video about this where I say a similar thing, but just buy a nice razor, buy some nice shaving foam, get some aftershave, that kind of stuff. We'll talk a bit about aftershave later as well. All this kind of stuff, you'll just pay you back so quickly. Really worth investment. And then and come back to beards another time, you know. I mean, I think if you're watching this, you're probably a young man, similar kind of age to me, maybe younger, maybe older. But generally, I think beards, it's an old man's game, is the other thing. There are exceptions, of course, but I think most guys just look, you know, if they, provided they're sort of lowering their body fat, you know, so their face looks nice and well chiseled, and we'll get onto facial structure and stuff like that later. But provided their face looks good, and you know, like I said, I'm not just talking about, you know, symmetry and stuff, but like, you know, you're not got loads of body fat on your face, you know, provided that kind of stuff, and you've got clean skin on your face, provided all that kind of stuff. Yeah, beards, it just don't bother. Most guys look fantastic, clean shaven. You know, like, okay, if you've got loads of body fat on your face and then you have a beard, then you might look a bit better because you're kind of covering up it's kind of a false sort of contour, right? But you just lose so much more in looking scraggly. So yeah, just don't bother basically. But like, you know, we'll come back to it later. That'll be like your something to come back to. It's always nice to have something to come back to. So anyway, and the other thing is hair. So keep it simple is my is the thing to remember. That's the name of the game. I think long hair is quite cool. I had it for quite a long while, and it was like a big part of my personality. And so I really sympathise with like liking long hair and all that kind of shit. But the problem with long hair is similar to a beard. Like, you can pull it off, but if you're watching this video, you're probably not ready to. And even if you pull it off, you still just look better with like a clean trim, in just terms of pure normal metrics of what looks good. So, you know, again, like, you kind of think, you know, I can see why people think like, oh, like, I used to think like that my hair was what made me attractive to girls, but so I see how you can fall down that alleyway. But no, I just keep it simple, guys. Keep it simple. Simpler the better, really. You know, I mean, I'm kind of quite shaven down now, but I'm gonna grow it back out to like a normal length. You know, skin fades, that kind of stuff. You don't need to complicate it. So yeah, and like, again with long hair, like if you do it wrong, you do just look like a bit of a loser, basically. Like, people just respect you less. So yeah, like, yes, people pull it off, but I think if you just want to looksmaxx as much as you can, which is like fair enough, I think just stick to something simple. It's boring advice. Like, I feel, you know, it's probably not going to do very well for my view count saying this kind of stuff, but it's just, in my experience, true. And believe me, bro, I've done both extremes, so I'm the guy to know. Now, so that's basic hygiene. So really, you want to really knuckle down that stuff, because I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff later on in this video, and it's going to get really, really interesting. And you know, we're going to start talking about you know, like getting a good body and you know, improving your face and you know, style and stuff like that, posture. But all of it is useless if you don't have this foundation of fairly boring stuff. underneath it. Now, like the hair and the beards, like obviously there are exceptions there I've talked about, but the showering, and having clean mouth, and not having disgusting nails. That's your bread and butter, really. So really focus on that. Okay, so you got that. Next thing is clothes. So clothes is a really interesting one because for a while I majorly prioritised style. Style in what I wore. So I would wear quite sort of like interesting stuff, stuff that I thought was interesting. But in terms of what's going to make you look best, again, rather boring advice is what I'm going to give. What you want to do is prioritise. Oh, I've written it the wrong round here. But you want to prioritise quality. Quality over style. Style's not that important. Yeah, there's a kind of, I think, go with what you're naturally inclined to wear. Like if you like wearing streetwear, go with that. If you like wearing sportswear, go with that. It doesn't really matter, is what I'm getting at. What your specific style is, but quality does. So what you want to do is just wear the best. Hamza says this in another video, so which is kind of where I got it from. But you want to wear the best versions of the kind of style that you wear that money can afford. So if you want to improve your clothes, like a lot of the kind of advice is, buy a shirt, start wearing smart, casual. You don't need to do that, guys. Again, we'll get to this later on in this segment. But the most important thing to do is just to wear nicer versions of what you already wear. So for example, I had a sort of grey hoodie. I made another video about this in the past. I had a grey hoodie that I just bought another hoodie that was also grey, that was just more expensive. Because the first one I got second hand from Depop, and I was like, this is a nice hoodie, I like this kind of thing, but I just want a nicer version of it. So I just went out and bought another grey hoodie. It was about 40 quid or something, 50 quid, which is a lot of money. I'm sort of quite reluctant to spend money on clothes, which is something I'm trying to change because I think it's a bad fear to have. But and yeah, that's great. That's all you need to do. So just try to do that for, honestly, I would say just do that for all of your clothes. So if you've got a cheap pair of jeans that you got from Primark, just find something similar from a slightly higher end store, start higher end shop. If you've got old if you've got old sort of t-shirts that you sort of bought second hand or very cheaply, just buy nicer versions of them. I think the golden rule for me is, I think if you want to look good, the t-shirts you buy should be around, I would say 15 quid, something like that. You want it to, you want it to have like that kind of, you feel it and it's like good quality. A lot of t-shirts you feel like cheap t-shirts, that like look really good in the shop. You go up to them and you sort of feel them, and it's like, it's paper, You want something with a bit, like Uniqlo do really good t-shirts that are just kind of just really thick, like it's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? That's the kind of clothes you want to wear. Okay, and just do that for all of your clothes. It doesn't have to happen overnight. It's going to cost you a bit of money again, like I said. So, if you have to set aside a bit of money every month or so from your job, that's fine, but I think you'll be amazed by how, again, going back to what I said earlier, if you've just been wearing sort of cheap clothes all your life, and you suddenly start upgrading your wardrobe to slightly higher quality clothes, you'll just feel fantastic. Also, a side note, I'm not when I say like more expensive clothes, obviously like I kind of said it already, but you don't need to buy like brands like Gucci or or Balenciaga or whatever. That's not what I'm saying at all. Just buy. That's a bit of a waste of money, I think. But you just there's clout and then there's quality, and you just want quality really. Okay, and then the other thing is I've got written here: chains and rings are good, but clothes are bread and butter. Okay, yeah. So, if you want to wear some kind of accessories, that's fine. You know, like a chain or rings or something. But here again, like I've noticed, girls will kind of say like, you know, oh, you should wear some rings or something. That girls really dig that kind of stuff. Yes, they do, but they only dig it if you got everything else in place, clothes wise and hygiene wise as well. Obviously, that goes without saying. So yeah, wear some chains and rings. It's gonna, you know, have that magic touch to your outfit. But again, it's the high quality clothes that are really the bread and butter. So don't worry too much about that. I mean, I have this kind of chain here that I wear, and it's good conversation starter. Like, often if I'm chatting to a girl, like when I worked at a bar, like, girls would often say like, "Oh, I like your necklace. Like, where's it from?" But if a girl's into you, they'll find something to talk about with you anyway, I think. So it doesn't hurt, but don't let it distract you from the really important stuff I just talked about. Okay. Second thing on the list, posture. So posture is really important. Important for your self-image, obviously, like all these things, but really important for being attractive. Because you just don't look terribly dominant if you haven't got good posture. And that's kind of what girls are looking for, is someone who's dominant. I know it's, you know, like this kind of idea of like, it sounds a bit toxic to say that, but it's absolutely true, guys. You need good posture, and you feel more confident in yourself if you've got good posture. It's one of those weird things, you know, like, I guess there's a lot of a big part of your nervous system's in your spine, and if that's straight, that just has a fantastic impact on your sort of confidence in yourself as well. So you want to get that fixed. I've got pretty bad posture, and I'm doing a lot of work to fix it. I've got a massage this weekend actually, but I do stretching every day for it. So this is like a journey for me as well, but I couldn't not include it. So I'll just run through the kind of things that I'm doing at the moment to improve my posture. So stretching is the big thing. There are a few exercises I recommend. So practice like trying to touch your toes. What I do is just dangle for like a minute, and that stretches out your legs and your sort of upper back, and that's good for you might think like, well, it's not really your posture, is it? But for your lower back, sorry, you might think that it doesn't really affect my posture, but you have to deal with these things holistically. So do that, and then there's another one where sort of lie on the floor and just let your arms dangle and let gravity sort of push them down, and you feel it in your sort of your back there. That's good. And then so stretch your neck. I do so like kind of, you want to get this kind of muscle here. I mean, you can Google this kind of shit, guys. But to be honest, a lot of it is just kind of mucking about and finding stuff that helps. And again, like I say, I'm not really an authoritative source, so do a bit of Googling into it, find what works for you. But the other thing I will say is, if you don't go to the gym, or even if you do go to the gym, start with like, you want to do exercises for your back. I was talking to my friend about this the other day, because a big part of posture is just good back muscles. And often, even people who go to the gym, they'll train the chest, the front of the body is really strong, but the back muscles get left behind, and so you kind of your shoulders come forward. So you want to train your back muscles as much as your front muscles. I I can't remember, there's this kind of muscle here that's responsible for good posture. And there's a variety of exercises you can do. One is face pulls, which is like, you know, this kind of it's just strings attached to the weight, and you can just move it, adjust the thing up and down. Just get one that's in line with your head and just kind of pull it towards you. That's one thing you can do. Or you get those kind of pectoral fly machines. You can turn it backwards, and so like, this is kind of hard to explain, but you kind of, so you do that, if that makes sense. And that's absolutely killer, guys, those two exercises. I remember the first time I did a face pull with a friend, and I was just like, oh, my posture's good. Obviously it's not that simple, but just get in the habit of doing those, build up progressively over time, and that will sort of, I think, do the stretching as well, because it's kind of a bit of both, but that's gonna do wonders, sort of allowing you to sit up straight, so your posture doesn't get worse than it already is. But I'll do more videos on this in the future when I've really cracked it, if you'll pardon the pun. So this is kind of, all that stuff's really getting you off the ground. And there's a lot of simple, people kind of know you need to do it anyway, but very few people actually commit to doing all these things that I've said here. So that's really the important stuff to focus on. I'll move on to the more kind of general stuff now. No, more kind of specific stuff. This is more exciting stuff. So, you know, I mean, I've done it, I tried to do it in like order of importance. I'm going to diversify slightly off now. So this stuff is slightly more like, doesn't really matter what order you do it in as such in terms of priority. But I'll try to keep some semblance of it. So the next thing on the list is like an aesthetic body. And obviously there's a big debate about what that really means. You know, there are people like Mario Rios who say it's just about having a body that's physically capable. I think that's a nice line, and I see where he's coming from. But there's no, and I think most of your training should, you know, if you go to the gym, which should be, most of your training should be based around being physically capable, just because it's good bonus. But I really think there's no shame in doing things that make you look good as well. You know, like pectoral fly, it's not going to do bits for your actual strength, your actual push motion, but it just makes your chest look better. So, you know, it's like polishing a piano, like a piano or something. Like, you can still play the piano, it still looks nice, but you know, you want, it still does its function, but you want it to look nice as well. Like, why shouldn't you? You know, like that, and there's no doubt that it looks better if you do these kind of more superficial exercises. You know, throwing on a t-shirt, you know, people accept that as like you're looking better, so why not that as well? So I think don't take it too far. You know, you don't want to be a bodybuilder who has no physical fitness, but and just kind of looks good. But like, I think 90% of the people aren't going to encounter that problem. Yeah, and there's the other question, like, do women like muscles? I think it's difficult because guys can be attracted to women without them, in a way that women can't be as attracted to men if they don't have a nice body. Because I think guys are more visual. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but it doesn't hurt. And I think after all the other stuff we talked about, it's probably the quickest way to be attracted to women. You know, there are exceptions. You know, you could be exceptionally wealthy, you know, and women will be attracted to that. You could be exceptionally good at music, people will be attracted to that. you can have very high status and people will be attracted to that. But a lot of those things it's a much lower return on investment than just having a good body. So I would I would advise people to focus on that. And that's coming from someone who's, you know, I've never until recently. The gym for me has been a very recent thing. So I don't have my sort of personality caught up in it in the same way that a lot of people do. I've come to the gym very much as an outsider. So I can totally see that that's the case. And like, when I look around the gym and like if you see couples there, like it's generally the quite built guys who got like the hottest girlfriends. And yeah, I mean I did another video on this, like is it brawl or beauty, what's more important? I think it is, the kind of physical strength is, it's not gonna hurt, let's just say that. Yeah, so that's something to focus on. If you don't go to gym and you're convinced that this is like the thing to do, which is absolutely right, I believe, I would advise you to focus on simply going to the gym. Get your body inside a gym, and don't worry about how your form is, how you're exercising. Just get inside there. Do even just 20 minutes of trying out a barbell, like a bench press, or how much can I actually bench. I don't know, I've tried this before. Have fun with it, and because I think you can get very intimidated by it. So focus on just having fun with it, and you'll kind of before you know it, you'll be having lots of fun with it, I think. So yeah, that's the aesthetic body. Now, next thing to talk about is fragrances. So there's like that kind of phrase, isn't there, that you should worry about how you smell, because that's the first hole that penetrates a woman, is her nose, which is a bit of a crude phrase, but it's so true. So yeah, I don't have much advice on what artichokes to buy, other than just buy one. I don't know how much I'd advise splashing out in it, because I don't really, again, like I'm not really the expert. I've got one that's like a couple, but they're not massively expensive. Would I advise splashing out on a really good one? Probably. If you were tempted to, I wouldn't argue against it actually. Yeah, but I think just sort of get anything really, over doing nothing. I think you can get a sort of cheap aftershave, and like it's not like all or nothing. Like just yeah, whack it on before you go out. And again, like that's another thing where if you smell better, you just feel more confident. So, a small one, but worth mentioning. And then the other thing I think to get into at this point is sort of facial exercises. So like, there's lots of interesting research about how to improve your how you look. I didn't really realise this, but a lot of having a good jawline is stuff you can engineer yourself. So, and it actually, this kind of stuff, like I was very sceptical to it at first, but I actually think they're fantastic, because it's stuff that's going to improve your life anyway. So you want to eat stuff that works your jawline, is the basic thing. So, sort of that sort of granary bread, it's worth buying that. Like stuff where you're really chewing on it, and it's really sort of your jaw almost sort of aches because it's so difficult to chew. That's kind of good. You know, so granary breads. There's some sort of chopped up bits of steak that they sell at a nearby shop to my house. I try to buy every now and again just because it tastes. It's just so sort of such a chore to eat. But you really feel kind of your roots to your sort of primal self when you eat it, which is always nice. And you can get sort of mastic gum as well, which is the special type of gum that it's really hard to chew, which First Man talks a lot about. So I don't really have a protocol to recommend as such, but I would say if you want to improve your jawline, start off by just eating more sort of whole foods that you have to chew a lot. And then there's stuff like mouth breathing. So again, this is just great for your overall health, which is why I'm particularly mentioning it here. One thing you can do is basically you always want to be breathing through your nose, and you want your mouth to be shut unless you're talking really. And when your mouth's shut, you want your tongue to be on the roof of your mouth, and that's kind of the comfortable place for your mouth to be. And I kind of started doing it recently. I'm like, shit, that feels much better actually. So you want to start by if you want to increase your ability to nose breathe, the good thing to do is just tape a bit of sellotape or masking tape on your mouth. Don't do very much, you know, don't don't kill yourself, but just kind of I'll just show you. Like a little bit of this stuff, maybe a bit thinner than that, like that. Just whack it on like that. Get it so it stays on. Obviously, you don't want it on too tight because you don't need that much resistance to stop your mouth from opening when you're asleep, and over time you will stop doing it anyway. So you can get special tape for it. I mean, I feel like that stuff does the job when I've done it in the past, but you can get some tape for it as well. I can't remember what it's called. Andrew Huberman talks a lot about it, and it's great as well because it improves your sleep and like nose breathing is great for concentration as well. So you want to get on that because again, I think it helps with your jawline and stuff. But it'll just kind of look better. So that's facial stuff. And there's a bunch of other stuff you can do as well that I don't really know so much about. Like there's sort of bit here that you can exercise so that it doesn't sag down. There's a lot of stuff like that you can look into. And the other thing is, if you've got a high body fat percentage, and then you lose a bunch of weight, and lose a bunch of fat, you'll be amazed how much better you look as well. I mean, I think a lot of male beauty, like obviously there are like facial genetics and stuff, but I think a lot of looking good is just having like a lean face. I mean, interestingly, there's a bit in on Duties, which is a book by Cicero, who was a Roman writer. And he said that complexion is improved by exercise, and I often wonder whether that's kind of similar thing that he was referring to. Like, you know, if you've not got loads of fat around your face, you just look better. I mean, I know like because I'm in a bit of a bulk, I think I've got a bit puffy around my face. But you know, that's something that I'll cut down that body fat when I'm so done with my bulk. But and also drinking alcohol. If you drink less alcohol, your face will look much better. You have a kind of glow that will come back, which is great. And yeah, I mean, we already said like wash your face, keep it clean. I didn't really talk about moisturising as well, but that's something you can do as well. And yeah, that's about it really. This is really exciting, guys. If you do all these things, you'll just be a different human being compared to 90% of people. 90% of men. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's very empowering because, you know, like genetics definitely comes into play. Like some people will always look better than others to some degree. Well, so some people, no, I should say some people will have advantages over others to some degree. But it's especially as a guy, and as a girl as well, but especially as a guy, how much of a difference you can make with looks is just absolutely incredible. And the impact it will have in your life is just ridiculous. You know, like I said, respect from other guys, respect, you know, attraction from women, and most importantly, just respect for yourself. I mean, people always say that, but to really just walk out of your house and you're looking good, the self-respect you feel is just so nice. And if you've lived a life where you haven't been doing that, and you suddenly start doing all these things, again, just come back to it, even just the basic hygiene stuff that I was talking about. Even if you just start showering and brushing your teeth every day, and keeping keeping your beard nice. I was gonna say beard nice and trimmed, but you know, just keeping clean shaven and having clean hair, and maybe buying a few nice clothes here and there. You know, even if you do those kind of stuff, you know, really basic. You know, even if you just go out and buy a t-shirt that's slightly more expensive, a slightly higher quality, I should say. You know, you'll just be amazed by how much more quickly, how much better your life is. I mean, Mario Rios said it himself. Like, life is much kinder to attractive people. So, yeah, take this guy seriously. Go through it again if you feel there's stuff that you need to go over again. And, you know, work through it bit by bit. It's not a easy game, especially things like posture and aesthetic body. You're going to be at it for a long time, getting that perfect. Stuff like aftershave and hygiene, you know, you can get down pretty quickly. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. If you like this kind of content, give me a follow because I'm going to be doing a lot more of it in the future. So yeah, hope this was helpful.